The 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike three. Wrap this one up in green and white.
Hello, RailCats fans, and welcome back to another edition of the RailCats Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Savetic, and today, March 8th, we do have a new player for the RailCats, Francisco Del Valle. Now, I may pronounce that wrong. There's many different ways to pronounce it, so that's the closest one I'm going with. If I'm wrong, let me know. We'll find out eventually down the road how it's actually pronounced. He was traded from the New York, I think it's New York Boulders, was I correct, from the Frontier League. I think that's the same team that Thomas Walraven went to, as for exchange for a player later to be known. If that happens, not sure, but it's probably going to be a person that they're going to cut. I think you can have a 28-man roster, and then before the season starts, you have to bring it down to 26. So I'm imagining, whoever doesn't make the cut will probably be that player to be named later. But looking at Francisco Del Valle, he is 24 years old, from Ponce, Puerto Rico. He is 6'1". He throws and bats from the left side. He was drafted by the Los Angeles Angels in the 14th round in the 2016 amateur draft straight out of high school. Francisco reached as high A ball twice with the Angels, both in 2021 and 2022. He was released in 2022, I think, after 39 something odd games. I bet 26 games. 26 games where then he was signed to the Frontier League for the full 2022 season, or maybe half, a little bit. I'm not sure. I think they may play 100 games. I'm not 100% sure how many games the Frontier League. So I would say probably over half the games. Right now he is in the Puerto Rican Winter League. He right now has played 34 games. He has 90 at-bats, scored 10 runs, has 13 hits, 1 double, 1 home run with 7 RBIs. He has 12 walks, 19 strikeouts with a batting average of 144, on base percentage of 252, slugging 189, OPS of 441. He's stolen 3 bases. He is an outfielder, and so far with the Winter League, he has played in all 3 positions. And I think center field has been his best. But if Jesus Mariaga does return back to the RailCats, I highly doubt that's where he'll be playing. He may fill that left fielder's role depending on where LG Castillo is going to be slotted, where he wants to play. I think if you're looking at the outfield right now, I think going from left to right is going to be LG Castillo, probably Francisco, and then Lester Madden, just because Jesus Mariaga is not in the lineup or hasn't re-signed with the team yet. That's how I would envision it. If after the World Baseball Tournament, or Classic, World Baseball Classic, if Jesus decides to come back to the American Association with the RailCats, Jesus would obviously fill that center role, but that's still up in the air. We're not sure how that's all going to wrap up. But looking at his Frontier League stats, Francisco, he played in 64 games, had 244 at-bats, 41 runs, 73 hits, 19 doubles, 2 triples, 7 home runs, 42 RBIs, 4 stolen bases, got caught stealing once. His batting average was 299, an on-base percentage of 385, slugging of 480, OPS of 864. Now, Baseball Reference doesn't have him playing the field at all. There's no fielding registry at all for him. I don't know if he just DH'd the entire time. And if that's the case, if he did DH the entire time, looking at his numbers, that's not half bad. He may be, when you're looking at the lineup, he may just be slotted into that number 1 role at leadoff batter, but just as a DH. I mean, necessarily, your designated hitter doesn't have to be your quote-unquote power hitter. That doesn't, looking at the lineup, you have so many power hitters as is. Are you going to designate one of them just to be a DH, or you going to kind of play around with the roster that you have, and depending on where you're going to be. I highly doubt he'll be a DH. I seriously think that he'll be put in the outfield. I don't think Lester Madden is that good of a defensive player to be put out on the field. I think Francisco will be a better player out there, but who knows how it all, wraps up. Like I said, we got a small sample size of Lester Madden, and that small sample size wasn't very good outfield wise. That line drive fly ball to him that just went right through his mitt, it still flashes back into my head every time I say his name. But I put it up on Facebook, got a couple questions. Where does he slot in? His Frontier League stats are really good, but his Winter Ball Classic or his Winter Ball stats aren't really that well. So I don't know if it's a level of competition. I didn't know right off the I had a brain fart. I thought he was batting at 250 right now in the Frontier League. So I said he'd probably be about a 220. I'm going to change that to probably about a 250. I think, if he gets 4 at bats, I'm pretty sure he'll get a hit. So I think he'll be in that upper 250 range in the American Association. I think the talent in the American Association is a little bit better than the Frontier League. But like I said, he's only 24. That can mean a lot of things. His power can be better, his fielding can be, his production can get better. Just looking at Baseball Reference, I mean, he's averaging, his batting average through all levels is 224. And that, he had a couple ups and downs, but his Frontier League was his best. Is what I have to go with. His Frontier League stats are his stats. Looking at just the winter league fielding percentage, he's at a 989 fielding with 4 errors, and the 4 errors are split between left and right. So I think that's why I would say probably center field is where he's going to be slotted in at. But just still looking at the roster, depending on what Adam Heidenfeller does, and Jesus Mariaga, is going to depend on how Lamar Rogers is going to fill out the rest of this roster, because that's really what you're missing out of this is probably another outfielder. I take that back. I forgot about Dorsey C. Paulino that I just did a podcast over. But he was more of a veteran presence. So you may have that rotation already. So maybe not so much an outfielder. You're probably going to add more pitching. Is probably not looking fully at the roster again. I think pitching is what Lamar Rogers is going to probably more focus on, because you're going to have that nice rotation of outfielders already. I think your infield's already set. I mean, you may want to get another person that could rotate between second and short. But outside of that, that's probably what I'm looking, that's probably what we're looking for in that aspect of it. Right now, looking at the roster, it does have Adam Heidenfelder on the roster. It doesn't have Jesus Mariaga on the roster. Actually, my bad, it does. So it still has both of them on the roster. It's because they put qualifying offers to him, probably, but there's nothing been set in stone, unless just nothing has been said to us quite yet. So we'll see how that's going to come down the pipeline here in a couple days or so before the season starts. That's it's pretty much all I got. I would just do a quick little podcast of going over Francisco here real quick, looking at his stats, looking at his numbers. There's nothing wrong with getting more pitching. I think that's probably what they're looking more for, is pitching going to be at this point. I think the rest of your lineup's pretty well set. Unless you can find, that someone that can probably maybe third base. Maybe third base is probably what we're looking at. It is probably another position you could probably fit in there. If you could find someone better than Victor Nova, as far as batting and arm strength wise, then I could see them filling a third baseman role. But outside of that, I'm not 100% positive what direction he's going to go in. I think he's filled majority of his pitching staff roster out. Probably just waiting for those two to confirm what they're going to do before Lamar Rogers makes any more moves. I know we're less than like 70, we're almost hitting that 2 month mark. It's getting there, it's close. I think we're only 64-ish days, I think. My math might be a little bit off on that. That's what we're looking at, about 64 days until RailCats baseball. But now you probably take a week prior to that for the spring training that they never really talk about, to see some of these players. But yeah, I'm getting excited. It's getting there. Yeah, if you enjoyed the podcast, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you have a comment that you want to make or whatever the case may be, put it down on the description below or in the comments below. Tag me, and I'll put a Facebook thing up. You can put it underneath the Facebook thing, Twitter, all that good stuff. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at RailCats Talk on Twitter and on Facebook. And if you want to just follow my Twitter page for just like my offhand, it's at KSvet. It shows just my first name and last name. All that will be down in the description below, that kind of stuff. So yeah, but that'll wrap it up for me. I hope you enjoy the rest of your night, rest of your evening, whenever you're watching this, and go Cats.